Pacific Drive, developed by Ironwood Studios, on paper shouldn't work. Pacific Drive marries many survival systems from a handful of other survival games and mashes it into one huge game set in a supernatural setting where you drive a beat-up and run-down station wagon. However, these systems come together nearly seamlessly to create a truly unique experience. It's a testament to the talent at Ironwood Studios. The game comes together as well as it does. Pacific Drive immediately drew me in with its unique world and concept. It's mysterious, exciting, and sometimes even terrifying, and by the end of my playthrough, I was swept up in a masterfully told sci-fi adventure. Here's my review for Pacific Drive. Pacific Drive starts off with a bang. As you drive through a heavily forested area of the Pacific Northwest, you come into a pretty sketchy area. Soon enough, you are sucked into a portal and dropped into a mysterious place called the Exclusion Zone, a walled-off chunk of land overrun by what are called anomalies, otherworldly beings and phenomena that roam the zone. Scientists who have stayed behind in the zone soon reach out to contact you.
This is Tobias Barlow and Francis Cook, located in Mid-Zone Sector B. Do you read me?
You find a new car in the base of operations, and the scientists that contacts you over the radio are keen to help you find your way out of the zone, but not without using you to run a few experiments first. You soon find out that the car you found is an anomaly itself and has bonded to you. When an anomaly chooses someone, they start to go insane. This fact gives you personal motivation to get out of the zone. What ensues is a well-told sci-fi story that I can most accurately describe as weird. The mystery that Ironwood Studios has built immediately drew me in. Learning about what happened in the zone and what anomalies even were was constantly exciting. The story, however, never loses sight of the human aspect and all of the sci-fi madness. The other scientists that you listen to on the radio are all expertly voice acted.
Now that we know the remnants were connected to the mass hallucination, maybe we can figure out what caused it.
Oh boy, do I have theories.
Don't start. Dr. K and Alan clearly uncovered some new way of using Lim to motivate that gamma ray burst.
The characters have emotional arcs and complex backstories that unfold as you progress throughout the story. I would describe the way that the story plays out in Pacific Drive as very similar to that of Subnautica's story, another survival game, although very different. As you progress through the game gameplay-wise, you get tads of story progress that keep you interested and drive you forward so you can get to the next cool story beat. These smaller story beats lead up to very cool set pieces that test gameplay skill, which makes them exhilarating. The way the story unfolded thoroughly captivated me, and I would recommend the game solely based on its narrative presentation alone. Pacific Drive is a survival game through and through, but there are roguelike elements mixed into its survival formula. Its gameplay revolves around scavenging runs into the zone. There you collect and scavenge upgrades for your car and base of operations. At the end of each run, you must then extract. This involves activating a portal located somewhere else in the map. You then have to rush to the portal before time runs out. If you fail to do so, you lose all the materials you collected on your run. During some of the runs, you will have a story objective that usually involves completing a set of objectives that culminates in a thrilling set piece. These scavenging runs start off short, but as you discover more and more of the zone, they can stretch up to an hour or more in length. This gradually increases the difficulty curve, as the longer you rank a run, the more materials and progress you stand to lose by the end of it. A big part of Pacific Drive is your relationship to your car. This car is the only vehicle you will drive as you venture into the Exclusion Zone. To be frank, at the start of the game, it's a piece of crap. It's hard to drive, it looks ugly, and constantly breaks. Sometimes you'll randomly just have a wheel fall off, and you'll have to reattach it or create a new one. As you progress and you collect more materials on your scavenging runs, you will unlock improvements to your vehicle that will in turn increase your chance of survival in the Exclusion Zone. Some anomalies in the zone will cause your car to gain quirks. These quirks will impose strange functions to happen to your vehicle. This could be that a wheel constantly turns to the left, or that your radio can never be turned off, and thus drains your battery. You then have to manually diagnose these quirks at your base to see them fixed. Your base of operations is just a garage in the safe parts of the Exclusion Zone. You can upgrade the garage to help research new parts for your car and tools for scavenging. You will spend a lot of time upgrading and swapping out pieces of your car. This means that you will spend a lot of time inside menu systems and will invest hours into scavenging and scrapping parts of cars in the zone. This will make or break the experience for some players, as it could become monotonous. For me, however, I found it relaxing, and I have always enjoyed this aspect of survival games. When you go out into the zone, on a run with your newly upgraded car, and the tools for the job, it just feels satisfying, and this is due to the time and investment that you have put in up to this point. I also enjoy how the story and gameplay merge in Pacific Drive. Like I mentioned before, your character in the game has been chosen by the car that you drive. This process will slowly drive your character insane, and in turn make them more obsessed with the car and its well-being. As a player, you slowly become invested in the car, the same as your character, although admittedly for different reasons. This story detail, however, really synergizes you with your character, and is a bit of a fourth wall break. As you take a step back after a play session and realize that you have spent 2 hours maintaining a car, you can't help but question if the car has chosen you as well. All in all, if you enjoy survival games and high-stakes roguelike elements, you will enjoy Pacific Drive's gameplay. I want to take a second to give a shout out to the art and sound in this game. Pacific Drive's art design and sound are superb. They are essential to making the world that Ironwood Studios has made believable and sufficiently spooky. The Pacific Northwest is a very fitting setting for the Exclusion Zone. Fog hangs over the dense forests just right, and the heavy blues and oranges make for a subtle horror vibe. The score and soundtrack are also amazing. The score has triumphant highs for the set pieces, along with moody lows to set the ambiance as you explore the long-abandoned Exclusion Zone. Pacific Drive's art design and sound soars. Pacific Drive is a fresh take on the survival genre. I thoroughly bought into the story being told, and the gameplay was rewarding and exciting. I will say that the performance isn't great. At the beginning of the game, I had to tinker with settings for 5 minutes or so to get it running smoothly. Even then, there were drops in frame rate when things were heavy gameplay-wise. As I made progress further into the game, I noticed that this happened less often. I still thought that I would mention it. I would highly recommend playing Pacific Drive. It was the most unique gameplay experience that I have had all year, and I'm excited to jump back into its wacky and weird world. Pacific Drive is available on PC and PS5. Don't forget to check out Caitlin's article, How We Can Protect Young Readers Online, and Jackson's review of Prince of Persia. For everything else geeky, stay right here on the Geek Wave.